Hi, guys. Welcome to episode 5 of the Ask Alex podcast. Today, we have a question from Nassim in Egypt. Nassim asks, should I include a cap table and valuation proposal in my Series A presentation? Okay, fundraising, fun times. Let me break this down into two parts for you. Firstly, the cap table, and then the valuation proposal. Okay, two parts. But let me just start by saying generally you need to understand that what you're doing is selling to the investors, okay? And your presentation, it's marketing material. Think about this like dating. When you go out on a first date, you don't care if she wants 2 or 4 kids right now. That's not the first question you want or need to know. You just are thinking, do I want to date this person? Like, could I be doing something better right now? And investors are thinking the same thing. You want to know, like, do you want to continue dating? And should you think about getting married? Which is terms for, a VC actually investing in you. This all comes down to escalation of commitment. So at the start, you just want to deal with the commercial aspects, the tick boxes that investors care about. Are they solving a real problem? Do they have a kick-ass, defensible solution? Ideally with moats, competitive, advantages. Is there a really big market? I mean, can this really be huge? Is this the right team for the job? Is the timing now? That's what investors really want to know right now. Do they necessarily need to know your exact valuation or the, minutia of your cap table? Not really, not until they actually care. So let's deal with your first point. Should you include your cap table in your presentation? No. Very simply, no. Things like, the real details of your cap table, they will be dealt with. And I promise you, investors do care about your cap table because that cap table represents the ownership of the company and what they own and who everyone else owns. And they want to know who the other investors are in case there's any, troublemakers there. What, the investor might say early on is, hey, Nassim, is your cap table okay? Is there anything weird? And say, look, no, it's all standard. We just did a little angel. Basically, majority is owned by the founders, and we've got a small little ESOP pool. Okay, cool. We'll deal with that later. That's sort of like how I would expect the conversation to go. I mean, maybe there might be some anal people, but I would just need to know the headlines off the top of your head to be able to talk about it. I mean, the dumbest thing is to say, actually, I'm not really sure. I mean, you should know who owns what in your cap table. So to be clear, you do not need to include your cap table in your presentation. That's a total waste of space. It's too detailed. And frankly, I don't think you should be giving that information away. It's none of their business. They're not entitled to that information. Now let's deal with the second part, which is, should you include a valuation proposal in the presentation? You'd think that it would be the onus on the investors to be telling you what the valuation is. And sometimes that is the case. But most of the times, I just got to say, in my experience, people will ask you what your valuation expectations are, particularly, more early stage angels, pre-seed, seed stage. When you're getting towards the Series A, you're definitely going to have strong opinions on what that's going to be, but you're not necessarily price setting. So I've written a blog about this topic along the lines of, investors asking what your valuation is the wrong question, and there's a better way to think about that, which is really worth reading. I'll put a link in the show notes for you to check that out. The way I would deal with it is in your page where you have your sources and uses, like how much money do you need to raise? What are you going to use it for in order to achieve what milestones? So you'll say on the slide, we're raising, $6 million. You can perhaps put the deal structure. I would just be very high level and say, priced round, standard terms, something along those lines. That's sort of code for I'm not asking for crazy shit, okay? Because investors don't want to waste their time. If you're going to say, yeah, I'm raising 5 million on a 200 pre on my Series A, I mean, that's just a huge waste of time for them. But you don't really need to put more than that. If you feel the need to do that, I would say our targeted dilution is 15 to 20%. But I wouldn't specifically write the valuation down. The rationale is you say, according to my plan, I need to raise 6 million, and this will help me achieve my milestones. And you can write what those milestones are. And that's one part of the valuation. And then you can set what your dilution expectations are, which is 15 to 20%. Now, investors, pretty much everyone, should be able to reverse engineer what that valuation is. When you think about sales guys, they never just say the number. They write it on a piece of paper, they hand it over, and you do the thinking yourself, right? There's reasons for that. So I would be gentle with the details you're putting on there. So, as we started talking about at the start, you're just really trying to pass the filters, get the commercial excitement there, and make investors say, do you know what? I want to do more. And they'll want to tease out if there's anything crazy that is like a deal killer. As I said, your valuation is too high or your cap table's fucked. In order to see it's worthwhile spending more time, but they're not going to ask super detailed information, nor should you necessarily hand it over. You really just need to make it really clear that you're solving a real problem, that there's a big market, the traction that you've achieved to date backs up the viability of the business, that your metrics are strong, and that you're the team to really kick ass and make this happen. And if you have those key ingredients, then it's more than likely your deal structure will, you'll be able to find a way around it, just so long as there's nothing too crazy going on. But of course, if there was, you certainly wouldn't want to be showing all your crazy on your first date, right? Okay, so thank you so much, Nassim, for your question. Now, listeners, if you would love to be featured on the Ask Alex show, head over to alexanderjarvis.com/Ask Alex and head to the bottom, and there's a little big red button where you can ask your question with your voice. Thank you so much for spending time with me. I really, really appreciate you for that. Have a great day. Bye.